There is something that happens to you almost every single afternoon, and you have probably stopped mentioning it to people because you have mentioned it before to your doctor, to your family. And the answer you got was, oh, that is just part of getting older. Or try eating less. Or have you tried cutting out bread? And you tried those things, and the bloating still comes every afternoon, like clockwork. Your stomach swells, your clothes feel tight around the middle. There's pressure, discomfort, sometimes pain, sometimes gas that embarrasses you, and you sit there feeling uncomfortable in your own body, wondering why this keeps happening, and wondering why nothing seems to help. I want you to know something today. It is not because you are eating too much. It is not because of gluten. It is not simply because you are getting older. There is a specific biological reason why afternoon bloating becomes so common after the age of 70, a reason that most doctors never explain, because most appointments simply do not have enough time for the full explanation. And there is a specific solution that works for the majority of older adults, often within just a few days of starting it. I am Dr. Daniel Chen, and today I want to sit with you and explain exactly what is happening inside your digestive system every single afternoon and what you can do about it, starting with your very next meal. So let us begin at the beginning. Let us talk about what digestion actually looks like in a healthy younger adult. When you eat a meal, your stomach gets to work immediately. It produces a powerful acid called hydrochloric acid. This acid serves two critical purposes. First, it breaks down the proteins in your food into smaller pieces that your body can actually absorb. Second, it activates an enzyme called pepsin, which continues breaking down those proteins even further. At the same time, your pancreas receives a signal, and it releases a package of digestive enzymes into the small intestine. These enzymes include amylase, which breaks down carbohydrates, lipase, which breaks down fats, and protease, which continues the protein breakdown that began in the stomach. Together, these acids and enzymes break your meal down completely into tiny absorbable nutrients that pass cleanly through the intestinal wall into your bloodstream. The whole process is efficient. It is thorough, and it is largely comfortable. Now let me tell you what happens to that same process after the age of 70, because this is where everything changes, and this is the part that nobody explains to you. After the age of 70, your stomach produces significantly less hydrochloric acid. Research shows that a meaningful percentage of adults over 65 have a condition called hypochlorhydria, which simply means low stomach acid. Some estimates suggest that as many as 30 to 40% of older adults have significantly reduced stomach acid production, and many of them have no idea, because the symptoms of low stomach acid feel almost identical to the symptoms of too much acid: bloating, discomfort, a feeling of fullness, pressure after eating. So many older adults are actually treated for high stomach acid with medications called proton pump inhibitors, medications like omeprazole and pantoprazole, when in reality, their stomach acid is already low, and those medications reduce it further. I will come back to that in a moment, because it is important. But first, let us continue with what happens when stomach acid is low, when there is not enough acid in the stomach. Proteins are not properly broken down. They pass into the small intestine. Still in large, partially digested pieces, the pancreatic enzymes that are waiting in the small intestine were designed to finish the job that stomach acid started, not to do the whole job from scratch. So they struggle. The partially digested food sits in the small intestine, not moving through cleanly, not being absorbed efficiently. And here is where the bloating comes from. The bacteria that live naturally in your gut, and every healthy gut has billions of them, begin to ferment that undigested food. Fermentation produces gas, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, sometimes methane, and that gas has to go somewhere. It builds up in the intestines, it creates pressure, it causes the abdomen to swell outward, and it creates that uncomfortable, distended feeling that arrives like clockwork every afternoon, a few hours after your largest meal of the day. Now, let me also explain why it is almost always the afternoon and not immediately after you eat, because this timing confuses a lot of people. When you eat lunch, the initial stages of digestion begin in the stomach. This takes time, usually 1 to 3 hours. The partially digested food then moves into the small intestine, where the fermentation and gas production begins. That process also takes time. So by the time the gas builds up significantly and the bloating becomes noticeable and uncomfortable, it is usually early to mid-afternoon. even if you ate your main meal at noon or 1 o'clock. This is also why the afternoon bloating is so often worse. After the largest meal of the day, more food means more undigested material, means more fermentation, means more gas, means more bloating. Now let me also talk about a second major factor that makes this worse after 70, and that is the decline in pancreatic enzyme production. As the pancreas ages, it produces fewer digestive enzymes, less amylase, less lipase, less protease. This means that even the enzymes that are supposed to finish the digestion job are working at reduced capacity. So you have low stomach acid, which means food arrives in the small intestine poorly broken down, and you have reduced pancreatic enzymes, which means the small intestine cannot properly finish the job either. The result is a significant amount of undigested food sitting in the intestines every single afternoon, being fermented by gut bacteria into gas, into bloating, into discomfort, into embarrassment, into the tight waistband and the unbuttoned trouser, and the quiet suffering that so many older adults simply accept because they have been told this is just part of getting older. Now let me come back to something I mentioned earlier, because it is something I feel very strongly about, and that is the widespread prescription of acid-reducing medications to older adults with these symptoms. Proton pump inhibitors, medications like omeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, and esomeprazole are among the most prescribed medications in the world. They are prescribed for heartburn, for reflux, for stomach discomfort, and yes, for bloating. But here is the problem in older adults whose bloating and discomfort is caused by LODA stomach acid rather than high stomach acid. Taking a proton pump inhibitor makes the underlying problem significantly worse. You are further reducing an acid level that was already too low, making protein digestion even less efficient, creating even more undigested food in the intestines, even more fermentation, even more gas, even more bloating, and then the dose gets increased because the symptoms are not improving, and the problem deepens further. I am not saying proton pump inhibitors are always wrong. There are genuine conditions that require them. Severe reflux, peptic ulcers, Barrett's esophagus. These are real and serious conditions that require acid suppression. But for older adults whose main symptom is afternoon bloating and fullness without clear evidence of excess acid, taking acid-reducing medication may be making things significantly worse, not better. Please talk to your doctor about this, especially if you have been on a proton pump inhibitor for years and your bloating has not improved or has gotten worse over time. Ask whether your symptoms could be related to low acid rather than high acid. Ask whether a trial off the medication under medical supervision might be appropriate. You deserve that conversation. Now let me tell you about the solution, the one that works for the majority of older adults with this specific type of afternoon bloating, and that many of my patients have told me change their digestion in a way they had not experienced in years. The solution is digestive enzyme supplementation, taken with your largest meal of the day. Let me explain exactly what this means and why it works. Digestive enzyme supplements are available without a prescription at most pharmacies and health food stores. They contain the same enzymes that your pancreas produces: amylase for carbohydrates, lipase for fats, protease for proteins. When you take a digestive enzyme supplement with your meal, you are replacing the enzyme activity that your aging pancreas is no longer producing at full capacity. You are giving your small intestine the tools it needs to properly break down the food that arrives from the stomach, so that food passes cleanly through the intestinal wall, instead of sitting in the intestine, being fermented into gas. The result for most older adults is a significant and often rapid reduction in afternoon bloating. Many of my patients have told me that within 2 to 3 days of starting a digestive enzyme supplement with their main meal, the afternoon bloating that had been with them for years was noticeably reduced. Some told me it was almost entirely gone. Now I want to be clear about one thing. Not all digestive enzyme supplements are the same. When you are looking for one, you want a broad spectrum product, one that contains all 3 main enzyme types: amylase, lipase, and protease. Look for a product that is labeled as a full spectrum or broad spectrum digestive enzyme, and check that it contains all 3 of these enzyme types on the label. You do not need the most expensive product on the shelf. You need a product that contains all 3 enzymes in a meaningful quantity. Take it at the beginning of your meal, not after, at the beginning. So the enzymes are present in the stomach and small intestine as the food arrives, ready to work, not chasing food that has already moved through. The second part of the solution is to think about how you eat, not just what you eat. Chewing is the first stage of mechanical digestion, and it matters enormously. When food is chewed thoroughly, it arrives in the stomach in much smaller pieces with a much larger surface area for the stomach acid and enzymes to work on. When food is swallowed in large pieces, poorly chewed, the acid and enzymes have to work much harder, and in older adults with reduced acid and enzyme production, poorly chewed food overwhelms an already compromised system. I know chewing sounds too simple to matter, but I have seen it make a real difference. For older adults with digestive issues, try chewing each mouthful more than you normally would. Put your fork down between bites. Take your time. Your digestive system will thank you. The third part of the solution is to look at what you drink with your meals. Many older adults drink large amounts of water or other fluids during their meal, and while staying hydrated is important, drinking large amounts of fluid during a meal dilutes the stomach acid that is already reduced, making digestion even less efficient. Try to drink most of your fluids between meals rather than during them. A small amount with your meal is fine, but save the larger glasses of water for between eating. The fourth part is a food that has been used for thousands of years to support digestion, and that research has now confirmed has genuine digestive benefits, and that is ginger. Ginger stimulates the production of digestive enzymes. It reduces intestinal cramping and spasm. It speeds up gastric emptying, which means food moves through the stomach more quickly. And it has anti-inflammatory properties that reduce irritation in the intestinal lining. A small piece of fresh ginger grated into warm water about 20 minutes before your main meal is one of the gentlest and most effective things you can do to prepare your digestive system for the work it is about to do. Alternatively, ginger tea made from fresh or dried ginger before or with your meal provides similar benefits. And for many older adults, it is a pleasant and comforting ritual that happens to also genuinely help. The fifth part is to pay attention to the specific foods that are most likely to cause fermentation and gas in older adults with reduced digestive capacity. Beans and legumes, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage, onions and garlic in large quantities, carbonated drinks, and high fructose foods are all fermented more readily by gut bacteria and produce more gas in people with reduced enzyme production. This does not mean you can never eat these foods. Many of them are nutritionally excellent, but eating them in large quantities at your main meal, when your digestive capacity is already reduced, invites the afternoon bloating to arrive. If you love these foods, and I hope you do, because they are genuinely good for you, try eating smaller portions, or eat them at a meal when you are also taking your digestive enzyme supplement, or cook them very thoroughly. Cooking breaks down some of the fermentable compounds and makes them gentler on a compromised digestive system. The sixth part is gentle movement after your main meal, not a vigorous walk, not exercise, just a gentle 10-minute stroll after eating. Gravity and movement help food move through the digestive system more efficiently. They stimulate the muscular contractions of the intestinal wall, called peristalsis, that push food through in the right direction. In older adults with slowed gut motility, which is extremely common after 70, simply sitting still after a meal allows food to sit and ferment and create gas. Moving gently after eating keeps things moving. In the most literal and helpful sense, the seventh part is to consider a probiotic. I want to explain this carefully because probiotics are not a quick fix, and the wrong probiotic, or taking it in the wrong way, can actually temporarily worsen bloating before it helps. But a high-quality probiotic taken consistently over several weeks gradually improves the balance of bacteria in the gut, reducing the population of bacteria that produce the most gas during fermentation and increasing the population of bacteria that process food more efficiently and comfortably. Look for a probiotic that contains multiple strains, including Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium longum, both of which have been specifically researched in older adults and shown to reduce bloating and digestive discomfort over time. Take it consistently, every day, at the same time of day, and give it at least 4 to 6 weeks before you judge whether it is helping. Good gut bacteria take time to establish, but once they do, the difference in digestive comfort can be significant and lasting. Let me bring everything together for you now. If you are over 70 and you bloat every afternoon and nothing has seemed to help, here is what is happening. Your stomach is producing less hydrochloric acid than it once did. This means the proteins in your food are arriving in the small intestine poorly broken down. Your pancreas is producing fewer digestive enzymes than it once did. This means the small intestine cannot finish the job properly either. The result is partially undigested food sitting in the intestines, being fermented by gut bacteria into the gas and pressure and discomfort that arrives every afternoon like an unwelcome visitor who has somehow been given a key to your house. The solution begins with a broad-spectrum digestive enzyme supplement taken at the beginning of your main meal, combined with thorough chewing, reducing fluids during meals, ginger tea before eating, being mindful of high fermentation foods, a gentle walk after eating, and a consistent quality probiotic over several weeks. And if you are taking a proton pump inhibitor, a conversation with your doctor about whether that medication is truly appropriate for your situation. This is not a complicated plan. It does not require expensive treatments. It does not require giving up foods you love. It requires understanding what has changed inside your digestive system and giving it the support it is now asking for. You have lived with this discomfort long enough. You have accepted it as normal long enough. It is not normal, and it does not have to continue. I am Dr. Daniel Chen. If this video finally explains something that has been bothering you every single afternoon, please share it with someone else over 70 who sits uncomfortably after every meal, wondering why nothing ever helps. Subscribe to this channel for weekly videos made with genuine care. For older adults who deserve real answers, and leave me a comment below. Tell me how long you have been dealing with this. And whether you have ever been told about digestive enzymes before today, I read every single comment, and I genuinely look forward to hearing from you. Take care of yourself. Your digestion can get better, and now you know exactly where to start.